Fiance, 35M, doesn't understand why I, 30F, can't get over his STI fast enough. He has HIV and his viral load is undetectable. He didn't tell me until months into our relationship. We dated years back and this is our second time dating. In the beginning of our relationship, we talked about getting tested for STDs. Conversation was as follows. Me: hey, I was just tested for STDs a couple weeks before we met again. Here are my results. Can you please get tested and show me your results? Him: yeah, I was tested months ago and they didn't call me. They said they will only call if something is wrong. Me: okay, great. Can you get tested and show me the results? Him: yeah, sure. 2 weeks later he took me to a park and asked me if I would ever date someone with HIV or cancer. I said not HIV. He said okay. Then further along the walk he randomly tells me he doesn't think we can be together because his life is too complicated. I was shocked and heartbroken. Later in the day he said, you told me we can't be together and that's why I said that. I was so confused. What? When did I say that? I never said that. I'm so happy to be with you. He responded, please just leave my apartment after I tell you. Okay. It goes on in circles and I thought it was ridiculous to ask in the moment. But I asked, do you have an STD or something? And he threw a pill organizer on the table and said, the worst one. In the moment I was devastated. Not for my exposure, but for him. I ran over to him and hugged him so tightly. He lied to me. We even had moments of unprotected sex sometimes. He told me that his doctor told him U equals U and he didn't even have to disclose his status since he can't pass the virus along sexually since he's undetectable. I think that's inappropriate advice from a doctor. He said he knew he wasn't putting me in danger and he doesn't even remember he has it sometimes and take the pills like a robot. I've been tested and remain negative after over a year. Sometimes I randomly ask him a question about it. Maybe 3 times this year. He got really upset and asked why do I constantly bring it up. He said it reminds him and makes him feel dangerous. I apologized and told him it's going to take a little more time for me to really get over it. Especially since he lied about it and that breach of trust was almost too much. He thinks he did nothing wrong by keeping it from me and I don't know how to explain to him that it was not okay without making him feel dangerous. I've said, I love you. I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to be. You are not dangerous. I'm so lucky to have found you again. I felt betrayed by you not being open with me and it's like salt in the wound when you minimize my feelings about how, when I found out, you've never acknowledged my feelings. I am hit with defensiveness and no compassion. You compare me to your exes by saying how easily they accepted you regardless of it and never brought it up. I understand it is a struggle that I don't understand. I just want acknowledgement for the breach of trust so we can finally heal. He makes me feel like I did something wrong to him. Getting over it and moving on is not easy because it's the betrayal that I'm struggling with. He's exceptionally selfish at times. In general. And the selfish moments is what brings me back to the betrayal. I accompanied him to work one day. It was a long drive to another state. I waited for him in his car for 5+ hours while he worked. He returned to his car with another car and said, aren't you excited about my new car? Long story short, he wasn't actually working the whole time and went to buy a new car. He asked me to drive his car back to our home state, 5 hours away, while he drove the other car. I was already waiting for him for nearly 6 hours in his car. I was so upset and he said he can't believe I wasn't supportive. Later that week, I asked something about the STI. I've only asked when my trust is triggered. The plan is therapy. TL. Doctor: my fiance didn't tell me his HIV status because his doctor told him he didn't have to. But he doesn't understand that it was a breach of trust, and I don't know how to explain it to him without breaking him down. Just looking for some opinions. ETA. I told him that I think he was born without empathy, and I can't wait for an unbiased person to be in the room as we discuss these issues. I'm sure he will be mortified, and hopefully it is the kick in the ass he needs. He claims he doesn't believe he did anything wrong. OMG, thank you so much. So many good people in the world. Yes, you should get therapy to find out why you are putting up with someone who has no empathy and compassion. Has lied about something you call a deal-breaker but then wasn't. So you rolled back your boundaries to allow for his lies. Who continues to treat you like a spare part in his life and less than you deserve. You cannot change him. You cannot make him change in therapy or realize anything he doesn't want to accept and change. People don't work that way, and neither does therapy wave a magic wand and change people into realizing they are asshats who need to change. There is no such thing as a kick in the ass that changes anyone. Change happens because people want to put in the work for themselves, not for others. Like you said, he doesn't believe he did anything wrong. Truly, he doesn't see things from your point of view. He lied. He lied about something truly awful, and yet you stayed and put up with his awful behavior. Please do get therapy to find out why you are letting this person treat you like this and that. You go back for more of the same. I am sorry this is harsh. But really, he does awful things to you, and you are just thinking that if another person just tells him he has been awful and needs to change, that it will happen. Life isn't like that in the real world. He lacks empathy. You keep hoping he'll develop empathy. Then when he shows he lacks it, like with the car example, you get triggered and talk about the HIV thing, which isn't really the issue. That's just another example of him lacking empathy. He's a walking red flag. Continue to ignore those red flags at your own risk. If a guy lied to me about that, there'd be no recovering the trust or the relationship. I'd be done instantly. Wow. I would have been gone a long time ago. He lies when convenient or it benefits him. Really think twice about marriage. Who knows what else he's lied about? Freaking leave already. This relationship has been dead. Leave the funeral. He is mad when you talk about it because he feels dangerous. But he doesn't feel like he did anything wrong by not telling you about it before having sex. That's some serious cognitive dissonance. 1. A doctor is not going to tell someone they don't have to disclose. Unless they are hella unprofessional. 2. This guy is a sociopath. Buying a car while you waited 6 hours in a car? 3. Unprotected sex with HIV? I get that you can get to undetectable levels and that the risk of passing it through sex is then incredibly minimal. But that's not the person with HIV's risk to take, and so it's not their decision to make. 4. You need to be single a while. Work on your boundaries and find a partner who affords you the minimal level of respect anyone should have for their intimate partner. 5. He doesn't need to believe he did anything wrong. You get to decide that for yourself. No penis can be this good. I'm not going to talk about the HIV or the letting you sit 6 hours in a car for nothing. You know that those acts are selfish and you don't deserve them. But what I read at his reaction to it, you complain about him lying, he justifies his lies and guilt trip you for making him feel dangerous. You complain that he let you sit in the car waiting for nothing, and he guilt trips you for not being supportive. And these are just 2 of the examples I read. But to me it's already too much. You can't complain or have feelings because you're going to be too busy catering to his feelings. It doesn't sound worth it. He makes me feel like I did something wrong to him. Getting over it and moving on is not easy because it's the betrayal that I'm struggling with. He's exceptionally selfish at times. In general. And the selfish moments is what brings me back to the betrayal. I think you need to reassess why you're with this man. This behavior isn't going to change. This is what he will be like forever. He lied to you about an STI and now he's gaslighting you about it. You are not wrong to have your feelings. And you should be allowed to ask questions. Many red flags here. Ma'am, how many more bright flashing warning signs do you need? When he asked would you date someone with HIV or cancer, you said no. That is your truthful answer. And then you found out he actually lied to you about his HIV and you already had sex by then. You didn't leave despite you being lied to. If you still dating a manipulative liar, what do you expect the outcome? A truthful person? Quit trying to change him. If you don't want to accept that he is dishonest whenever it suits him, don't marry him. He will never be sorry. That car story part of your post really bothers me. At best he's a selfish person. At best. I might be the only one here, but I'm a little torn on the HIV thing. If someone is in fact undetectable and takes their medication religiously, they aren't dangerous at all, but still experience a lot of discrimination, even by professionals who should know better. I imagine it would be near impossible to build a relationship with someone if you always disclose it up front in the early stages. And again, nobody's put in any danger in that scenario. I absolutely get that this feels like a massive breach of trust. But I also think it's a difficult position for him. That being said, what bothers me most about him is that he seems to lie and manipulate at his own convenience. So there is no way to be sure that he is in fact undetectable and careful about taking his medication regularly. He expects you to understand, but won't even listen to your perspective. At this point I'd question his entire character. HIV infection or no HIV infection. So he continuously holds the truth from you for his own gain. He will never stop doing this. You are not happy because you know he is just using you and he does not actually value your life, your safety, your time, or your ability to make a choice he does not like. But you already are invested in time and emotions, so you think if you walk away all that investment will be wasted. But guess what? It's already wasted either way. And staying only wastes more time. Time you will continue to feel disrespected. Wouldn't you rather be single and free to find someone who values you as much as you value them? Weirdly enough, depending on where you live, he may be telling the truth that he doesn't have to disclose it to you. However, if he cared enough to date you, he should have definitely told you before you got into bed with him. Even if not required to. That's a big thing to keep secret from someone you're supposed to love. Better run. He thinks he did nothing wrong, and he makes me feel like I did something wrong to him. Are tactics narcissists use whenever they get called out for doing something horrible. If you don't leave this relationship, you're signing up for a lifetime of gaslighting and lies. You deserve better. Where is your self-respect? He is lying to you about really big stuff. Get out. So he treats you bad and inconsiderate. He hid from you that he has HIV, had unprotected sex with you without you knowing about the HIV, and you are engaged to him? Why? Honestly, why? Yeah, not sharing that detail is a deal breaker. You share that before you have any intimacy with a person. He hid a pretty major thing and would have not told you if you had not insisted on a STD result. Then he tells you, but it is okay because the levels are not traceable. So why couldn't he get a test and show it? You really want to trust him now that he says the levels are so low the unprotected sex was okay? Yeah, no. You need to go to your PCP or other doctor and get tested for HIV and any other recommendation. And leave the sorry behind of someone who would lie about something so big.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Eracast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.